Welcome to Inorganic Chemistry. Today, we are diving into the foundational rules of the quantum world. Imagine trying to learn a complex board game like chess without knowing how the pieces move. In the microscopic world of atoms and electrons, classical physics completely breaks down. To understand this tiny universe, scientists established the postulates of wave mechanics, which we will explore today. To begin our journey into quantum mechanics, we must first understand how to describe our player, the electron. In classical physics, we can pinpoint a baseball's exact position and speed. However, in wave mechanics, this is impossible. Instead, we use a wave function, represented by the Greek letter psi. Think of the wave function as a massive digital folder containing every single piece of information that can possibly be known about that electron. While it does not have a direct physical shape you can touch, it is the ultimate source of truth for the quantum system. Now that we have our information locked inside the wave function folder, we need a way to extract it. This brings us to the second postulate, which introduces observables and operators. An observable is simply any physical property of the electron that we can actually measure in a laboratory, such as its momentum, position, or total energy. An operator is a specific mathematical instruction, like taking a derivative, that we apply to the wave function. For every observable, there is a unique mathematical operator assigned to it, acting as a specific key to unlock the folder. Let us look at a specific mathematical key used to extract momentum. This formula represents the momentum operator. The little hat symbol above the P tells us it is an operator, not just a regular number. The symbol I is the imaginary unit, and h bar is the reduced Planck constant, a tiny number setting the scale for the quantum world. Finally, the d by dx term is the total derivative with respect to position. This is the mathematical instruction telling us to find the rate of change of the wave function strictly along the x direction. With our operator key in hand, the third postulate explains exactly what happens when we use it on the wave function folder. When an operator acts on a valid wave function, it returns the original wave function multiplied by a simple constant number. This constant number is called an eigenvalue, which translates to proper value. The eigenvalue is incredibly important because it represents the actual physical number you would read on your measuring device in the laboratory. If the operator does not return the exact same wave function back, the system is not in a stable state. This brings us to the mathematical representation of a quantum measurement, known as the eigenvalue equation. Conceptually, this formula shows that measuring a property does not destroy the fundamental state of the electron. In this equation, A hat is our mathematical operator representing the property we want to measure. The symbol psi is our wave function representing the state of the electron before measurement. The lowercase letter a is the eigenvalue, which is the actual numerical result of our measurement, like a specific amount of energy. Operating on the wave function gives us our measurement value multiplied by the unchanged wave function. To visualize this equation, imagine the wave function as a locked digital folder. The operator acts as a specific mechanical key designed to open it. When the key is inserted and turned, which represents the mathematical instruction being applied, the folder opens to reveal a specific file. This file is the eigenvalue, representing the physical measurement, like energy or wavelength. Notice that after the measurement is extracted, the original folder remains completely unchanged. This perfectly illustrates how a valid quantum measurement preserves the original state of the wave function. Before we move on, let us see this eigenvalue equation in action with a concrete example. Imagine an electron moving freely through empty space. Its state is described by a simple exponential wave function, e to the power of ikx. We want to find the exact momentum of this electron. To do this, we set up our eigenvalue equation by replacing the general operator with the actual momentum operator, which includes the derivative with respect to x. We then substitute our specific exponential wave function e to the power of ikx into the equation, so we can take its derivative. Continuing with our calculation, we now perform the mathematical derivative. In calculus, the derivative of this exponential function simply brings the constant multiplier ik down to the front, leaving the exponential part unchanged. We substitute this back into our main equation and group the terms. Multiplying the imaginary unit I by itself gives -1, which cancels out the negative sign at the front. Because the original wave function is perfectly restored at the end, the constant h bar times k sitting in front of it is our eigenvalue, representing the physical momentum of the free electron. Our previous example assumed a perfect, stable state, but sometimes the quantum world is messy. The fourth postulate tells us how to handle situations where an electron is not in a stable state for a specific measurement. Because quantum mechanics is based on probability, measuring the exact same property on thousands of identical atoms might yield slightly different answers each time. To resolve this, we calculate an expectation value, which is simply the statistical average of all these possible measurement results. This allows us to predict the most likely outcome of a massive number of laboratory experiments. To find this statistical average, we use the expectation value formula. Conceptually, this equation sums up all the probabilities over all possible positions in space. The symbol A in angle brackets represents the expectation value itself. To calculate it, we sandwich our operator between the wave function and its complex conjugate, denoted by psi star. The complex conjugate simply means we change the sign of any imaginary numbers inside the wave function. We then integrate this entire expression over all space. If the wave function is already normalized, the bottom integral simply becomes 1 and disappears. Now that we know how to measure properties at a specific moment, we must ask how the system changes as the clock ticks forward. The final major rule is the postulate of time evolution. Just like classical laws tell us where a thrown baseball will be 5 seconds from now, this postulate tells us what the electron's wave function will look like in the future. To find out how the state changes with time, we must use a special operator called the Hamiltonian, which represents the total energy of the entire quantum system. This evolution over time is governed by a famous equation called the time-dependent Schrödinger equation. Conceptually, this equation states that the total energy of the system directly dictates how the system state will evolve as time moves forward. H hat is the Hamiltonian operator, commanding us to find the sum of the kinetic and potential energy. The term d psi by dt is the total derivative of the wave function with respect to time, representing exactly how fast the state is changing. The constants I and h bar ensure the complex mathematics balance out correctly. We have seen how a free particle behaves. But what if the electron is trapped inside a microscopic wire? In this scenario, the electron behaves like a standing wave, and its wave function is given by a sine function. We want to find the exact kinetic energy of this trapped electron. Because the physical situation has changed from a free particle to a trapped one, the mathematical instruction we need to extract the energy must also change. This requires us to introduce a slightly more complex operator, specifically designed for kinetic energy. To find the kinetic energy of this trapped electron, we need the kinetic energy operator, denoted by T hat. Conceptually, this operator relates the curvature of the wave function to the particle's energy. The symbol m represents the mass of the particle. The term d squared by dx squared is the second total derivative, meaning we must differentiate the wave function twice in a row. The negative h bar squared over 2m is a constant factor that ensures our final energy value has the correct physical units of joules. Let us apply this kinetic energy operator to our trapped electron's wave function. We set up our eigenvalue equation by applying the operator to our specific sine wave function. Our goal is to perform the double derivative on sine of kx and see what constant value emerges. We start by taking the first derivative. The derivative of a sine function is a cosine function, and according to the chain rule in calculus, the constant k inside the parenthesis is pulled out to the front. Moving forward with our calculation, we must now take the second derivative by differentiating our previous result. The derivative of the cosine function is negative sine. Once again, the chain rule applies, and another constant k is pulled out to the front. This gives us negative k squared times sine of kx. Notice that by taking the second derivative, we have successfully returned to our original sine wave function, just multiplied by a negative constant. This confirms that we are on the right track to finding our eigenvalue. Finally, we substitute our second derivative result back into the main kinetic energy equation. We now have a negative sign from the operator formula and a negative sign from a calculus derivative. These two negative signs cancel each other out to become positive. The original sine wave function is perfectly intact at the end of the expression. The entire block of constants sitting in front of the wave function is our eigenvalue. This means the physical kinetic energy of the trapped electron is exactly h bar squared times k squared divided by 2m. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us bring it all together. The postulates of wave mechanics provide the absolute rule book for the quantum universe. They teach us that a system state is fully described by a wave function, physical properties are extracted using mathematical operators, and the actual measurements we record are eigenvalues. By mastering these foundational rules, we gain the power to predict the behavior of electrons, understand chemical bonding, and explain the structure of all matter around us.